In my last piece, I talked about selective pay, that toxic indie film set practice where some people on set are getting paid and others aren't. Today, I wanted to explore that a little further. I wanted to share a couple of real stories from my career and what I learned from them. Back in film school, I had this acquaintance that I looked up to, somebody who was further along in their career than I was and taking professional gigs, and I considered them kind of a mentor, and they often invited me and other students to help them out on shoots, and at the time, I thought it was a great way to get experience and learn the craft. So one of these gigs was a concert shoot, and they told me it was for a friend's music event, and they asked me to check out camera equipment from the school, and they also got another guy who was also an aspiring DP to check out camera equipment and help out. And when we get there, there were multiple performers, there was a whole theme, the venue was a very high-end restaurant with a stage, it was very elaborate, well-produced. Something didn't sit quite right with me, but I trusted the person who brought me on. And the real kicker was, afterwards, as we were packing up and leaving, I saw the friend of the guy who brought us on slipping him an envelope and saying something about the rest later. I don't think he saw or knew that I saw that. In hindsight, the red flags were just screaming the whole time. That kind of upscale venue doesn't host unpaid performers or hire free crews. It should have been very clear that somebody was getting paid, just not us. I was not being mentored. I was helping somebody else fulfill a contract. I thought I was learning, but I was actually subsidizing his career. A few months later, that same person brought me on for another shoot. Once again, he phrased it as though he was doing a favor for a friend. He said she was interviewing someone and made it sound like he wasn't getting paid either. And he brought on me and another student, offering us experience and asking us to check out equipment from the school. Turned out, however, this was an interview involving a very well-known public figure in a very upscale location. Using the free gear we borrowed from the school, we lit the scene, we had multiple camera angles, ran audio. I'm not trying to put anyone on blast here, but there might be a BTS shot somewhere if you scroll back far enough on the right social platform. But anyways, at the time, it felt strange, and afterwards, it really hit me. Here's the thing. Nobody hires somebody to film an interview with a public figure and expects it to be free. And they definitely don't expect that person to show up with a crew and a full production package for free. And if I hadn't already suspected that something was fishy about that gig, what happened next confirmed it. We'd been in a hurry at the end, and the guy who ran it helped us pack the gear. We checked out several identical camera kits from the school, and he ended up putting the accessories back in the wrong boxes. So when I returned the equipment, the people at the equipment center immediately noticed, because each kit has specific components tied to it, and they realized everything had been used together on the exact same shoot. And that's when I found out that this person did not have the best reputation. Some people at the school already knew he had a habit of checking out school gear for personal, non-school paid projects. This was just another example and a really blatant one. And it wasn't just that we weren't paid, it's just that we were never told that there was any budget involved at all. It wasn't even up for discussion. And it was manipulative. He got us to check out gear for what turned out to be his project, a paid project. He'd done this before. And the lack of transparency, that's the real problem. If he'd just said, hey, I've been hired to shoot this, there's no budget for extra crew, would you be willing to come out, help out, learn, I'll buy you guys dinner afterwards? I might have said yes anyway, but the difference is I would have had a choice. And so the things to consider, red flags to look out for, what you should ask yourself, would a project like this realistically be free? Who is benefiting the most from your free labor? Are they being clear about why you're there? Would the person bringing you on be just as willing to do the same for you? And if you find yourself justifying the lack of pay by how cool or important the gig is, pause. You might be glamorizing exploitation. And I've been on both sides of this picture. Later on in my career, I was hired for a shoot and was offered my full rate. Great, right? Until they asked me if I knew any gaffers, ACs, or PAs willing to come on just to help out for free. I was shocked. I was like, wait, are you paying anybody else? And the answer was no, just me. It felt like they were asking me to be the bait, to help fill out their crew by convincing other people to work for free while I was getting paid. That didn't sit right with me either. I told them flat out, I'm not bringing anyone else on unless they're getting paid, and I stuck to it. Even if you're the one who's kind of benefiting from exploitation, this is bad for all of us. I don't want to be the kind of leader who walks away or gets to work in cushy luxury while everybody else is busting their ass. That's not looking out for my team. I want to be on a shoot where everybody's working under the same terms and conditions and where the pay is more equitable for everybody involved, and at the very least, where there's transparency. Now let's talk more about the red flags. Vagueness, when you're brought on without a clear rate or when somebody says we're still figuring out the budget, can be a red flag, but oftentimes this can still be happening even if people bring you on up front and they're clear that it's an unpaid gig. But here's some good questions to ask, just in case you suspect this might be the case, or if you just want to make sure that everything is by the books with any shoot that you're going to be working on. If they're vague or they don't say if it's paid, don't be afraid to ask about it directly. We all need to start to be more comfortable just talking about money, even if it does seem a little bit transactional. I've been on the end of getting guilted by people. Like, if I asked about money, they made it sound like they thought I wasn't passionate enough or was making things too transactional. I think all this guilting is why it's so hard for us creatives to talk bluntly about money or ask questions like this sometimes, but it's something that we all need to work on to make this industry a better place. And also, don't be afraid to ask who else is being paid on this project. If somebody says the project is unpaid or low budget, there's no problem. It doesn't make you difficult to ask, is anybody else being compensated? If they are and you're not, that's selective pay, and you can ask why. And you also have a right to ask, is this for a client, a brand, company, anybody else? If it's being used commercially, streamed, promoted by a brand, features some kind of public figure, the project likely has money attached. Passion project doesn't fly if there's a sponsor and deliverables. And can I say no without consequences? The best test of fairness really is how somebody responds to a no. If they're pressuring you or guilt-tripping you, walk away. Good collaborators understand boundaries. It's not rude to ask, it's professional. If they can afford a high-end camera package and an expensive DP and a big-name cast, but they can't offer you a nominal day rate or stipend, that's a red flag. It means the budget exists. It's just not for you. And the thing is, I'm not saying that every situation like this is bad or inherently exploitative. Just, it is if there's no transparency. It's always best to just be honest. Like, if somebody says, we've got a tight budget, but we're bringing on a working professional DP and an Area Alexa package. We can't offer a rate, but we want to be totally upfront. This could be a great chance to learn and connect, but totally understand if it's not the right time for you. That's honest. That's respectful. That's giving you a choice. But regardless of the situation, your time is valuable. You should still be asking yourself, do I trust this person? Does this opportunity align with my goals? And am I okay with still doing this even if there's no pay and no guarantee of future work? Selective pay isn't just about money, it's about power. When people don't tell you the full picture, they're taking away your ability to make informed decisions. That's not mentorship, that's manipulation. The best collaborators lead with transparency. If you've ever walked away from a shoot wondering why it didn't feel right, even when you volunteered your time, chances are you were not being told the full story. You deserve to work in environments built on trust, respect, and collaboration. That's how real careers are made.